Okay, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, you're just making all those key steps to transforming your life in an instant. Yes, I did say instant. I'm going to promise you instant. And then there's the permanence, and then there's the acceleration. So now, to be best prepared, right off the bat, you already started with your self-qualifier. And you got 100 out of each one of those 4. That's how you got this far. And now there's the next one. See, you've been sleepwalking. You've been walking around in a sleep state. And you didn't know what was happening. You just like were like a puppy, or like it was a conditioned response. It wasn't a thought, it was a conditioned response to this or that or the other thing. So let's look at what that this, that, or the other thing is. So let's check, let's go to your love and your belonging. Let's look at your programs and patterns. And what these are there's feelings of abandonment, those feelings of rejection, the feelings of not fitting in, the feelings of not belonging, all of those, okay? That's that love and belonging. And what I want you to do is describe in detail, like what keeps happening in your relationships, no matter which ones they are, what keeps happening, okay? You get so close and you run away, or you're constantly being complained by your partner that you're smothering them, or you just keep acting up in crazy ways to test your partner to see if they truly love you. And it goes on and on and on, okay? Or, you know, I remember a lady that I went to see, and she had 7 physical symptoms, and she had them for 3 years. I said, what happened 3 years ago? She said, my mother died. And she was so close to her mother, she was like this. They were inseparable, which is unhealthy. They were so inseparable, and when she died, she lost a part of her. When I took her through the process, 4 of those symptoms were gone in 2 hours. Okay? So, what are your unhealthy programs for love and belonging? So now the next one. What are your unhealthy programs and patterns for worth? For feeling valued, feeling important, being good enough, not good enough. What do? That ways you have of trying to protect yourself from failing. You know, they say that the biggest phobia on the planet is public speaking. Do you know why? Well, let me tell you why. Because your external identity, like this shirt, if I was to say this shirt is my identity, if I was to say that, it's like somebody criticizing it, and I take issue with it. Well, what that issue is like it's like this. I'm trying to get you to see something. Imagine taking a razor blade cut across your hand from here to here, and somebody comes along and throws a couple of grains of salt in there. And what are your response? It's like to protect. Okay, you're either going to do one of 2 things. You're either going to fight or flight. And in relationships, that's what you're doing. And so, now somebody takes a spoonful and puts it in there. The only difference is the level of anger or retreat or attacking gets worse. But what if somebody puts it in a bucket of coarse road salt? Okay? Now, all of those hurt to one degree or another. And what if you go like this, and your hand is the way it really is with no cut? And that same person puts 2 grains of salt in there. Does it hurt? No. A spoonful, does it hurt? No. Put your hand in a coarse bucket of salt. Does it hurt? No. You see, you've got this imaginary wound. And it's either going to affect your love and belonging, or your worth, or your safety, or your freedom, or all of the above. Almost exclusively, it's all of the above. Okay? So I'm getting you to see what these are. by looking at your programs and looking at your patterns. So now we come to the worth, like I just said. And this is the criticism and the judgment and the ridicule and the failure and the failed projects and driven to succeed. And I use the two examples of Tiger Woods and Lance Armstrong. They're the best in the world, but they couldn't hold it. And one of them had to use something to try to get him to do that, because his identity was so tied up in the external. Now, so where are these failures? Where are these driven to success? Where are the not good enoughs? What do you do around your projects? Are you afraid to go for it? Or you're going to take everybody down to try to make sure you get it? And on and on and on. Okay? Now the next one is safety. How safe do you feel, especially since the coronavirus? 90% of the people on the planet flipped into, oh my God, I'm going to die. Somebody's telling you you're going to die. Somebody's telling you a bunch of people died. And now everybody's walking around in fear with masks and all of these things because they're going to die. They're going to catch something. Okay? That's that old brain survival. It's that old brain survival. I'm going to die. And you're going to do one or two things. Well, three actually. You're going to attack, you're going to run away, or you're going to play dead. That's it. You know, that's it. But I'll tell you, I've been in some near-death experiences. And a sweetheart that I had a few years ago, we were up in the Pacific Northwest, and we were going back to look for grizzly bears. We decided instead of taking the direct route where they would have been, we went through this old growth forest, and there was this creek snaking along the way. And she was about 2 feet ahead of me, and she stopped in this creek and got down like this to get a drink of water. And there was a bush like right here, about this high. It was right there. And as she was down to get a drink of water, heard a rustling. Here on the other side of that bush, about 6 feet away, was an 800-pound grizzly. It had been sitting in the same creek, but because it snaked, it went like that and around like that. We didn't see it. And then we just both calmly, she started telepathically talking to it and telling it was his kingdom and we were here by mistake. And as she was doing that, we both intuitively just started backing up like this. And it stood up, turned its head, and snorted, and walked away. Now, we had went into one of our fear-based systems right there. Neither one of us had been here today. I just know it. This is a wild grizzly, in the wild. So, survival, that's that old brain survival. I'm going to die. So where are all those fears? Are you going to die? This is where all your phobias are stored. All those phobias are stored in this area. This is down here in your base chakras. Okay, your worth is here. Your heart chakra is here. And your divinity is up here. Okay? And then your freedom. How trapped do you feel? How trapped do you feel in your job? How trapped do you feel around finances? How there's never enough? How trapped do you feel with the finances? No matter how much you have, it doesn't take away that feeling of emptiness. And you just keep driving for more and more and more. I work with billionaires. I work with multi-billionaires. They have the same empty feeling as you do. They just have a false sense of it. That's all. They actually know it doesn't work. So, how trapped do you feel, and where do you feel that trappedness? Write them all out, each of them in each order, for yourself to go back to. And I used to have a long written one, and as they wrote, it kept getting longer and longer. And they used to write it by hand instead of on a computer. And I would have it with me, and I would just ask them questions, because that's all I do was ask questions. I don't have the answers, you have the answers. And what happened was I almost exclusively, when we were done, when we were complete, when we were finished with the process, do you know what almost every one of them said verbatim? If that was not my handwriting, I would never think I ever believed that way. And that's the result I want you to have. So be clear, concise, and keep it with you when we go to do this transformation. We'll see you there.